Harvard and the Ivy League admissions process has officially changed forever. In 2026, the college admissions process that we once knew is literally changing underneath our feet, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing exactly how Ivy Leagues are recruiting for this year's admissions cycle, starting with the unfair pipelines that ultra-wealthy families use to get their children into top schools, and then the key strategies that in 2026, ordinary people like myself and you can use to get into these top schools like Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, and more. So there's so much to cover, let's dive into this jam-packed video. As we all know, every single year, Ivy Leagues are becoming increasingly more competitive, with over 385,000 students applying to the Ivy Leagues for a select number of spots. At the moment, Harvard's acceptance rate sits at 3.5%, Yale sits at 4.5%, and the average Ivy League acceptance rate is around 4%, making it super difficult for any student to get into one of these elite schools. But what if I told you there was a loophole in 2026, an easier path that could not only get you accepted into these schools, but potentially give you a full ride scholarship? That pathway is sports, my friends. Most people don't realize it, but the Ivy League is just a name for a sporting league in which Harvard, Yale, Princeton, UPenn, Columbia, Brown, Dartmouth, and Cornell operate within. That's all that the Ivy League is at the end of the day. The Ivy League was formed in 1954, and similar to the Olympics, the sports that they've been playing in the Ivy Leagues have remained relatively unchanged. This means you have your American pastime sports like basketball, baseball, tennis, and the NFL, but what this also means is that you have these really unique, random sports that have been popular maybe half a century ago, but they're still being actively recruited for at these Ivy League schools. I'm talking about some weird sports like equestrian, fencing, rowing, water polo, skiing, diving, cross country, field hockey, golf, softball, and sailing. Now, there's nothing wrong with these sports, but what is completely mind-blowing to me and what's going to blow your minds is the scale at which these sports are recruited for within the Ivy Leagues, despite the fact that they're super unpopular in general as sports. To set the context for how crazy the numbers are, there are more student athletes on the Harvard fencing team, than there are on the Harvard basketball team, despite basketball being the thing that actually gets fans to show up. To really prove this point of unconventional sports being a legitimate pathway for you in 2026, I went through all of Harvard's team rosters and counted out the number of players per sport, and this is gonna blow your mind. Some of the really astounding numbers included 142 recruited athletes for rowing, fencing had 32 recruits, sailing had 30 recruits, and cross country had 49 recruits. So in essence, in 2026, if you have the money and the resources, the first way to get into an Ivy League is just to pick an unconventional sport, train it 5 to 6 times a week for a few years, rise to the top of that unconventional sport, and then with decent academic grades, you're going to be a great fit for one of these Ivies. And just remember, when I showed those numbers, that's just for Harvard. All the other Ivies are recruiting to a similar level, if not more. The next kind of suspect form of Ivy League admissions is ALDC admissions, which is athletic, legacy, donor, and children of staff admissions. At Harvard alone, roughly 30% of the students that they admit every single year are legacy students, which essentially means that their parents went to the school, and it's super terrible. What happens during the admissions process for legacy students is their application will be flagged and looked upon more favorably throughout the admissions process. This whole process is super unfair, it should be removed, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And to be honest, this process probably applies to none of you, because if you had parents that went to Harvard, you'd just have them being your high school coach telling you exactly what to do and writing all the essays for you, so you wouldn't need to be watching this channel. Now that we've covered the unfair side of the game, let's talk about what we can actually do as ordinary students to beat this system, because at the end of the day, yes, there are unfair admissions processes, but there are tens of thousands of students getting in every single year to Harvard, Stanford, MIT, Yale, and all the other Ivy Leagues. So let's break down the 2026 strategies that are actually going to get you into your dream school. And these are the things that are going to help cut out all the noise, all the crap that you're currently doing, and help you to have a singular focus that is going to be of value and going to help you to stand out in this admissions process in 2026. I'm going to present 3 pathways, the first being the research pathway. In 2026, the single most valuable thing that you can show the admissions officers is proof that you can already perform at the university level. And the most powerful way to do that, hands down, is research. Now, I'm not just talking about reading research papers in your spare time for fun. Anyone can do that. What I'm talking about is actually publishing research, working with a professor, writing a publication, or presenting findings in your field. Harvard and Stanford admissions officers literally use the admissions criteria term of evidence of intellectual curiosity. They're literally looking for people with evidence that they can thrive academically at these universities. So if your application can include multiple research publications, or even just one, it's gonna signal that you're the type of person that they want to admit. On top of this, programs like MIT RSI, Stanford SIMR, or Boston University's RISE program are literally world-class pipelines for getting you into these Ivy Leagues. MIT RSI, for example, only accepts roughly 80 students globally each year into their fellowship program, but RSI alumni have one of the highest Ivy League admits rates of anywhere in the world. Literally, if you have one of these fellowships programs on your application, it goes so far in almost guaranteeing admission into these top schools. But even if you can't get into these competitive research programs, you can still build a research pathway for yourself. It's super simple. Email 50 to 200 professors whose work inspire you. And even if only one replies saying like they're willing to do research work with you, you're in. The other option is to write a literature review on a topic that kind of aligns with the major that you want to study. Those are the two key methods that you can do. There's a lot of pain and trial and error involved, but it's definitely possible if you have the grit. On the other hand, if you just want to avoid all the pain, you can work with my company, Ivy League Consults. We get you on publications in your relevant field with collaborations with Ivy League professors. My team will aim to get you on 3 to 5 research publications if you choose to work with us. And what that's going to do is really elevate your profile and pretty much like exponentially increase your chances of getting into these schools. So if you want that kind of service, just check out the top link in the description, check out Ivy League Consults and book a discovery call. Now, the second pathway I want to present is what I call the passion projects pathway. And this second pathway is all about impact. It's about using your skills and your initiative to create something tangible that's going to do some good in the world. Top schools are really moving away from activity lists. Like, I work with so many students who have like 5-page resumes, and it's genuinely pointless because all they care about is your 2 or 3 top key activities. So everything else is useless. So what you want to be focused on in high school is creating an impact-based portfolio. What that means is you're creating passion projects that align with your future major, and on top of that are creating tangible impact in your community. This could be so many things, but in essence, it's like building a startup that solves a local community problem, creating an app that helps your community, or launching an NGO that again is addressing a societal issue. So as some examples, if you're interested in climate change, create a local carbon data tracker. If you love medicine, then run a school blood drive or shadow a local clinic. And if you're into AI, build a tool that helps students to learn faster. The key point of this pathway is you're showing college admissions officers that you're not someone who cares about permission. You don't need permission to start. You're willing to take initiative. You're willing to lead change. You're willing to go through countless trial and error just to solve a problem. And that is in essence what it takes to succeed in the real world. So if you can showcase that through multiple successful passion projects over the course of your high school career, that is going to help you stand out immensely. So we've got the research pathway and the passion projects pathway. And now I just want to talk about a third kind of overarching pathway that I'm going to call the specialist. This is the student who has gone deep into one field and becomes impossible to ignore them. It could be that you spent 4 years competing in debate at the highest level, you composed multiple original film scores or even produced your own films, maybe you published papers solely in physics and you were focused on physics the whole time, or maybe you built a coding project that's being used by 10,000 people. There's significant overlap with the other two pathways, but in essence, what I'm trying to get at is when it comes to writing your college applications, when it comes to building your resume and your extracurriculars list, all they really care about is like 1 or 2 things about you. Everything else isn't memorable. It's not about being average at a bunch of things. It's just about being good at 1 or 2 things. I promise you, you've heard it a million times, and I'm just gonna repeat it again because you really need to get this through your head. For this pathway, you don't have to be a genius. You just have to be truly obsessed with one thing. Harvard doesn't want students who do everything. Stanford doesn't want students who do everything. They want students who do one thing better than everyone else that's applying that's their age. So if you love neuroscience, just go all in on it. If you love architecture, go all in. Sketch a model, build your work, do whatever. Just go all in. When you lean into that obsession, you stop sounding like everyone else who is trying to get into Harvard, and you start sounding like you, which at the end of the day is what Harvard is going to want. Now, I know all of this sounds intense, but But here's the truth that no one tells you about the admissions process. The admissions office doesn't care where you started, they simply care how far you've come. You don't need legacy connections, $20,000 sporting camps, or Ivy League parents to win the game. You just need clarity, consistency, and obsession with becoming the person that the schools want to admit. Because yes, Harvard and these top schools look at privilege, but it also looks at potential. So build something, write something, discover something. Prove that you can turn an idea into impact, and no one, not even the system, will be able to take that away from you. And when the decision letters arrive next year, I want you to remember this. Your dream school doesn't decide your life, you do. So go write your story because it's the one that they'll wish that they admitted. And as we close out this video, if you want comprehensive support from my team, getting into your dream schools, going through your essays, preparing for interviews, getting on research publications, getting the right extracurriculars, doing your SAT prep, and more, book a free discovery call using the top link in the description with my team. And if you attend the call, we'll throw in our free Ivy League ebook just for you attending the call. See you soon and good luck.